Welcome back, friends. If you've ever kept a worm bin or used worms to improve your garden soil, you know how fascinating these little underground workers can be. They'll happily munch on kitchen scraps, cardboard, and garden clippings, turning waste into what we call black gold, worm castings that make plants thrive. But every now and then, I like to test their limits and see what they'll eat beyond the usual rice, veggies, and fruit. And recently I stumbled on something that absolutely shocked me. Worms not only ate it, but they went wild for it. Today I'm going to share what I fed them besides rice, why it works so well, and how you can use this trick to supercharge your own worm bin or garden soil. But when I came back a couple of days later, I was in for a surprise. The worms were swarming the coffee grounds like kids around a candy jar. They weren't just nibbling at the edges, they were wriggling all through the pile, devouring it like it was a gourmet feast. This shocked me because I always assumed rice would be their favorite. Turns out, worms actually prefer the texture and nutrient balance of coffee grounds. Coffee is high in nitrogen, which worms love, and the fine texture makes it easy for their little mouths to break down. Plus, coffee grounds hold moisture really well, and worms thrive in a damp environment. When you combine this with the usual kitchen scraps and a little shredded cardboard, you've got the perfect worm buffet. Here's what happened next. Within a couple of weeks of adding coffee grounds regularly, I noticed my worm bin had more activity than usual. So, baby worms started appearing faster, the bedding stayed moist and crumbly, and, honestly, the castings had a richer, darker look. My plants could tell the difference too. When I sprinkled a handful of finished worm castings around my tomato plants, they responded with stronger stems and greener leaves almost overnight. It was clear that this extra food was making a big difference. Now, I'm not saying you should dump a whole pot of coffee grounds into your worm bin at once. Like anything, moderation is key. Too much nitrogen-rich food at once can cause the bin to heat up, which worms hate. Instead, try mixing in a small handful of coffee grounds a couple of times a week. Layer them between your normal kitchen scraps and balance it out with shredded paper, cardboard, or dry leaves. The best part, coffee grounds are free and, honestly, they're everywhere. If you don't drink coffee yourself, chances are your local cafe would be happy to give you their used grounds. Many coffee shops even bag them up and leave them out for gardeners. And when you recycle something that would otherwise be thrown away, you're not just helping your worms, you're helping the planet. So what's the big takeaway here? While rice is fine for worms, it's not the ultimate food source. Worms love variety, and coffee grounds might just be the secret weapon that takes your worm bin to the next level, by feeding them a mix of kitchen scraps, carbon-rich bedding, and coffee grounds. You'll keep your worm population healthy, your castings nutrient-packed, and your garden thriving like never before. Before we wrap up, I want to encourage you. Don't be afraid to experiment. Worms are tougher and more adaptable than you think. Try small amounts of different foods and watch how they respond. Just avoid the known worm no-nos like meat, dairy, oily foods, and too much citrus. Stick to plant-based scraps, grains, and of course, coffee grounds, and you'll see results quickly. If you found this worm food shocker as fascinating as I did, try it in your own garden or worm bin. Then come back and share your results. I'd love to hear if your worms go as crazy for coffee grounds as mine did. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. We share natural gardening hacks, compost secrets, and soil boosting tricks every week. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next tip that could transform your garden. Your worms and your plants will thank you.